One of the most important things to understand when CNC machining is end mills. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the different shapes and sizes and how the end mill functions. So let's get into it. On the previous lessons, we talked about the anatomy of the machines and how they're interacting in space. Now it's time to talk about what's actually doing all of the work, our end mills. Now coming over to the board here, we're going to go over a handful of different topics here, starting with the different shapes and sizes that these end mills can come in, and then going over the anatomy in which they come in as well. Now to start, let's start talking about the different shapes and sizes. If I'm holding up these two end mills, we can see first off that we have different diameters that they can come in. Those different diameters are going to change your designs, changing the internal radius that you're capable of putting in your parts. The next thing is that we have different lengths. We have different cutting lengths, where the flutes, which we're going to talk about here in a second, is, as well as the overall length. Now this changes how deep our pockets can be and what we can reach and affect on the designs. Additionally speaking, we have different end profiles. So this one right here being a flat end mill, meaning that this cutting surface on the end is perpendicular to the side of our end mill, versus a rounded or ball end mill that we have here allows us to do complex profiles and shapes on the outside of our part. These can also come in different specialty end mills. This one right here is a radius end mill. This allows us to soften those outside edges and create a better finished part. Now, those are the main, most common profile designs, but there's an endless amount that you can look into, and you should understand what's available. Now, when we start talking about anatomy, I touched on flutes earlier. This is the cutting surface or the cutting edges that are on these end mills. Now, before we actually look at them up close, that cutting edge has two purposes, or the flutes have two purposes. One, to remove that material, to cut it and remove it, turning it into chips, which we'll talk about here in the next lesson, and those chips to be removed. That helical pattern will actually lift those chips out of that pocket, creating space for the next cut. Now, if we start looking at these close, we can see that they come in different amounts of flutes. So this one right here being a 5-flute end mill versus a 3-flute end mill. Now there's two different things that we need to understand here. The more flutes we have, the more cutting surfaces that we have, means that we need to have the end mill moving faster to keep those flutes in the material. We're going to again talk about that in the next lesson with feeds and speeds. The more flutes we have is the less area in between the flutes, and these are more prone to clogging up with material and increasing the amount of heat. Those flutes right here are going to be directly affecting the next lesson. Now, additionally speaking, when we start talking about different cutting tools, one of the most common ones are drill bits. Now, drill bits are really great for coming straight down into the material and creating that hole. End mills have one more secondary operation that we can do. We can come straight down into that material, but then we can also translate in that X and Y plane that we talked about in the last lesson. This allows us to do those extra features that we talked about and creates that three-dimensional shape. Now, the type of material in which our end mill comes in is also very critical on what material you can make your parts out of. Now, two of the most common materials, these are just examples, are carbide and high-speed steel. Carbide is a very hard material, and the rule of thumb is that we need our end mill to be harder than the material in which our parts are going to be made out of. Since carbide is so hard, it's best for use in steel, titanium, and stainless steel. This also, though, is really commonly seen in job shops because it's the best balance between cost of material for the end mill and longevity. High-speed steel is a cheaper end mill material, but it's also softer. It limits you down to softer materials like aluminum and plastic, and this is most commonly seen in garage or job shops, depending on the material that they're wanting to cut. Coatings are something we're going to add to the outside of our end mill, and this is going to beef them up a little bit. We're going to take carbide and we're going to give it a boost. Some of the most common coatings that we're going to see here are titanium nitride. Now, what they're doing is they're reducing the amount of friction on that part. It's like a lubrication, which reduces the amount of heat that the end mill is going to see, essentially making it be more heat resistant during the cutting process. This adds longevity to our parts and gets a little bit more out of the end mill. Titanium aluminum nitride is even a more souped up version of a coating. This is really high heat resistance, and it helps cut on stainless steel, steel and cast iron. They're going to be trying to put a lot of heat into your end mill. However, you can't use it on aluminum because of the aluminum that is inside the coating. Now that we understand that there's a lot of different options, it's best to know what you have available during the designing process, whether you're making it at home or a place like SendCutSend. Now that we have that information, we're going to start talking about feeds and speeds. So we'll see you on the next one.